The morning was unusually quiet at the Liberty Pines Mall. Manager Karen Fleming stood in her office, sipping a latte and scanning through her list of tasks for the day. Her reputation for running a tight ship preceded her. She was strict, no nonsense, and had no time for distractions or disruptions. Karen prided herself on maintaining a particular image for the mall: polished, professional, and inviting to all the right kinds of shoppers. Little did she know, her seemingly ordinary day would soon take a dramatic turn, spiraling into a moment she would never forget. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. As the sun climbed higher, shoppers began to trickle in, filling the spacious atrium with the buzz of conversation and the soft melody of holiday music wafting through the air. Among the growing crowd was a man named Jack Harmon. He was an unassuming figure, dressed in jeans and a simple jacket with a red "Make America Great Again" hat perched on his head. Jack had arrived at the mall with a sense of purpose, but not in the way most shoppers did. This was no ordinary shopping trip for him. Jack had been through more than his fair share of struggles in life. A decorated veteran, he had suffered injuries during his service that left him with mobility challenges. Despite this, he carried himself with quiet dignity, relying on a motorized wheelchair to navigate the world. His military background had instilled in him a strong sense of discipline and resilience, qualities that had helped him overcome countless obstacles. What he lacked in physical mobility, he more than made up for in determination. As Jack entered the mall, he couldn't help but notice the curious glances from other shoppers. Some people smiled politely, while others looked away uncomfortably, as if unsure how to react to his presence. Jack was used to this. It was the kind of silent judgment he had encountered time and again. But he wasn't there to make a statement or seek anyone's approval. He was there to observe. Karen, ever vigilant, soon noticed Jack as he made his way toward the central plaza. From her vantage point on the mezzanine, she could see his bright red hat standing out like a beacon. A wave of irritation washed over her. Over the past year, she had made it her personal mission to maintain what she considered a neutral environment at the mall, free of political messaging or controversy. To her, Jack's hat represented a breach of that unspoken code. Without hesitation, Karen marched downstairs, her heels clicking sharply against the polished tiles. As she approached Jack, she put on her best authoritative expression. Jack, engrossed in examining the holiday display, didn't notice her until she was standing directly in front of him. "Excuse me," Karen began, her tone clipped. "I'm going to have to ask you to remove your hat or leave the premises." Jack looked up, his brow furrowing in confusion. "I'm sorry, what?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. "We have a policy here," Karen continued, folding her arms across her chest. "This mall is a place for everyone, and we don't allow clothing or accessories that could be considered divisive or offensive." Jack blinked, taking a moment to process her words. "Divisive or offensive," he repeated. "It's just a hat." Karen's patience was wearing thin. "I don't make the rules, sir," she said, though in truth she often bent them to suit her personal preferences. "I'm going to have to insist. Either take it off or leave." Jack tilted his head, studying her with a mix of disbelief and amusement. "And what if I don't?" he asked, his voice steady. Karen's face flushed with irritation. "Then I'll have no choice but to escort you out," she said, gesturing toward the security desk nearby. The standoff had drawn the attention of nearby shoppers, who began to murmur among themselves. Some pulled out their phones, recording the exchange. Jack remained calm, but the tension in the air was palpable. After a moment, he gave a small, resigned nod. "All right," he said, turning his wheelchair toward the exit. "But you might want to reconsider how you treat people. You never know who you're dealing with." Karen watched him go, satisfied that she had diffused what she perceived as a potential disruption. She returned to her office, brushing off the encounter as just another part of her job. Little did she know, her actions that day would come back to haunt her in ways she could never have imagined. The following week, Karen received an email from the mall's corporate headquarters. The subject line read, "Introduction to New Ownership." Her curiosity piqued. She opened the message and began to read. As her eyes scanned the words, her stomach sank. The email announced that the Liberty Pines Mall had recently been acquired by a private investor. Effective immediately, all management and staff would report to the new owner, who would be conducting a series of evaluations to determine the mall's future direction. Karen's heart raced as she read the name of the new owner, Jack Harmon. Her mind reeled as she connected the dots. The man she had so brusquely dismissed just days earlier was now her boss. Panic set in as she recalled their encounter. She had humiliated him in front of a crowd, treating him as though he didn't belong. And now, he held the reins of her professional fate. The day of the owner's introduction arrived, and Karen found herself nervously pacing outside the conference room. She had dressed in her most professional attire, hoping to make a good impression, or at least repair the damage she had done. When the door finally opened, Karen stepped inside, her palms sweaty and her heart pounding. Jack sat at the head of the table, his red hat conspicuously absent but his presence commanding nonetheless. He greeted the assembled staff with a warm smile, his demeanor far removed from the quiet man Karen had confronted in the mall. He spoke eloquently about his vision for the mall, emphasizing inclusivity, community engagement, and the importance of treating everyone with dignity and respect. When it was Karen's turn to introduce herself, she could barely meet his gaze. As she stammered through her introduction, Jack listened politely, his expression unreadable. When she finished, he nodded and moved on to the next person, leaving Karen to stew in her own anxiety. Over the next few weeks, Karen went out of her way to avoid Jack, but it was impossible to escape the weight of her actions. Every time she saw him in the hallways or during meetings, she was reminded of the moment she had let her bias cloud her judgment. Jack, for his part, showed no outward signs of holding a grudge. He treated her with the same professionalism and respect he extended to everyone else. But Karen couldn't shake the feeling that she owed him an apology. One afternoon, she finally mustered the courage to approach him. She found him in the atrium, watching a group of children marvel at the holiday decorations. "I'm Mr. Harmon," she began hesitantly. "Can I have a moment of your time?" Jack turned to her, his expression neutral. "Of course," he said. Karen took a deep breath, struggling to find the right words. "I wanted to apologize for the way I treated you when we first met," she said. "I was out of line and I made assumptions I shouldn't have. It was unprofessional and unfair, and I'm truly sorry." Jack studied her for a moment, his gaze thoughtful. "Thank you," he said finally. "I appreciate your apology, but more importantly, I hope you've learned something from the experience." "I have," Karen said earnestly. "I know I have a lot to work on, and I'm committed to doing better." Jack nodded, his expression softening. "Good, because this mall isn't just about retail, it's about community, and that starts with how we treat each other." From that day forward, Karen made a conscious effort to live up to Jack's expectations. She took the lessons she had learned to heart, striving to create an environment where everyone felt welcome and valued. And while she would always look back on her initial encounter with Jack as a moment of profound embarrassment, it also became a turning point, one that changed her perspective and ultimately her life. For Jack, the incident served as a reminder of why he had invested in the mall in the first place. It wasn't just about profit or business. It was about making a difference, about fostering a sense of belonging for people from all walks of life. And in the end, his quiet resilience and unwavering commitment to his values proved to be the greatest lesson of all. Karen's apology had marked a shift, but it was only the beginning. Jack Harmon was not a man who believed in holding grudges, but he was also someone who believed deeply in accountability. His military years had taught him that second chances weren't given freely. They had to be earned. The weeks following the confrontation with Karen were filled with subtle but significant changes in how the mall operated. And those changes had ripple effects far beyond what Karen or anyone else had expected. Jack wasn't the kind of owner who ran things from the shadows. He made it a point to be present, roaming the mall in his wheelchair, engaging with employees, tenants, and shoppers alike. To some, it was a refreshing break from the usual corporate hierarchy. To others, especially those who had grown complacent under Karen's strict but predictable management style, it was a wake-up call. Jack listened intently, taking notes and asking questions. Karen watched from the sidelines, a mix of admiration and unease bubbling within her. She had spent years running the mall her way, enforcing rules she believed maintained order, but Jack's approach was different. It wasn't about control, it was about collaboration. And it was working. One of the most poignant moments of the town hall came when a teenage girl named Emily spoke up. She explained that she often came to the mall with her younger brother, who was on the autism spectrum. While they loved visiting the toy store and arcade, the loud music and bright lights in some areas made it difficult for him to feel comfortable. Jack nodded thoughtfully and promised to look into sensory-friendly options. True to his word, within weeks, the mall introduced quiet hours every Wednesday morning, during which lights were dimmed, music was turned off, and stores offered a more subdued shopping experience. The change was met with overwhelming gratitude from families like Emily's, who now felt truly welcome. Karen, who had initially been skeptical of Jack's hands-on leadership style, found herself inspired by his dedication. She began attending the town halls and community meetings, not as a formality, but as an active participant. She started to see the mall not just as a business, but as a living, breathing entity shaped by the people who used it. It was a humbling realization, and one that fueled her determination to become a better manager. As Jack's vision for the mall continued to unfold, the atmosphere among the staff began to shift. Employees who had once felt stifled by rigid policies now felt empowered to share their ideas. A janitor named Miguel suggested placing recycling bins alongside the trash cans in the food court, a small but impactful change that aligned with the growing environmental consciousness of the community. A sales associate from one of the clothing stores proposed hosting a weekend fashion show featuring local designers, an idea that not only boosted foot traffic but also highlighted the mall's commitment to supporting local talent. Even Karen began to loosen her grip on some of her old habits. She started to see her role not as an enforcer of rules, but as a facilitator of connections. She took the time to get to know the staff and tenants, learning their names, their stories, and their challenges. For the first time in years, she felt genuinely invested in the success of the mall, not as a reflection of her own authority, but as a shared endeavor. Meanwhile, Jack continued to lead by example. Despite his physical limitations, he was often the first to arrive and the last to leave. He took an active role in the day-to-day operations, from helping set up holiday decorations to assisting with inventory checks at the smaller stores. His presence was a constant reminder that leadership wasn't about sitting in an office. It was about being present, listening, and serving. One of Jack's most ambitious initiatives was the creation of a community outreach program. He partnered with local charities, schools, and small businesses to host events that brought people together. One such event was a Veterans Appreciation Day, held in the mall's Central Plaza. The event featured live music, guest speakers, and booths offering resources for veterans and their families. It was a deeply personal project for Jack, who used the occasion to share his own story of service and resilience. The turnout was extraordinary, with people from all over the county coming to show their support. For many, it was the first time they truly felt connected to the mall as more than just a place to shop. The program also included initiatives to support the less fortunate. Jack introduced a pay-it-forward gift card system, allowing shoppers to purchase gift cards that could be anonymously donated to families in need. The response was overwhelming, with hundreds of cards donated within the first month. The program became a symbol of the mall's new identity as a place of kindness and generosity, a far cry from the sterile commercial space it had once been. Karen found herself deeply moved by the transformation. She had always thought of herself as a competent manager, but Jack's leadership had shown her what true stewardship looked like. It wasn't just about efficiency or profitability, it was about creating a space where people felt valued and connected. For the first time in her career, she felt like she was part of something bigger than herself. As the months went on, Jack's impact on the mall continued to grow. Foot traffic increased, not just because of the changes he had implemented, but because of the reputation the mall had earned as a welcoming, inclusive space. Local newspapers wrote glowing articles about the revitalization of Liberty Pines Mall, and word of mouth brought in shoppers from neighboring towns. The once struggling mall had become a thriving hub of activity, a testament to the power of community and collaboration. But Jack's journey wasn't without its challenges. There were times when progress was slow, when old habits resurfaced, or when financial constraints forced him to prioritize certain projects over others. Through it all, he remained steadfast, drawing on the resilience that had carried him through the darkest moments of his life. He knew that change was rarely easy, but it was always worth fighting for. For Karen, the experience was transformative. She had started the year as a rigid, controlling manager who saw Jack as an unwelcome disruption. But by the end of the year, she saw him as a mentor, a leader, and a friend. She often reflected on their first encounter, marveling at how much she had learned from the man she had once dismissed so carelessly. One day, as she and Jack sat in the food court discussing plans for the upcoming holiday season, Karen turned to him and said, "I have to thank you, Jack, not just for forgiving me, but for teaching me what leadership really means. I've learned more from you in these past few months than I did in all my years of management training." Jack smiled, his eyes twinkling with warmth. "Leadership isn't about having all the answers," he said. "It's about listening, learning, and lifting others up. And Karen, you've come a long way. I'm proud of you." The words meant more to Karen than she could express. In that moment, she realized that the lessons she had learned at Liberty Pines Mall weren't just about her career. They were lessons she would carry with her for the rest of her life. As the holiday season approached, the mall was busier than ever. Families flocked to see the elaborate decorations, participate in community events, and shop for gifts. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter, music, and the hum of conversation. It was a far cry from the cold, impersonal environment the mall had once been. Jack, ever the observer, watched it all unfold with a sense of quiet satisfaction. He had set out to create a space where people felt welcome and valued, and he had succeeded beyond his wildest dreams. But he knew that the true credit belonged to the people who had embraced his vision and worked tirelessly to bring it to life. For Jack, the journey was never just about the mall. It was about proving that even in a world often divided by differences, people could come together to create something beautiful. It was about showing that dignity, respect, and kindness were more than just words. They were the foundation of a thriving community. And as he wheeled through the bustling atrium, greeting shoppers and staff with a warm smile, he knew that Liberty Pines Mall was no longer just a place. It was a testament to what was possible when people believed in each other. As the months turned into a year, Liberty Pines Mall continued to evolve under Jack Harmon's leadership. The mall had become more than a commercial hub. It was now a cornerstone of the community, a place where memories were made, bonds were strengthened, and lives were changed. Every decision Jack made was guided by his unwavering belief that a mall should serve its people, not just its bottom line. One of the most innovative projects Jack launched was the Local Roots Initiative. This program aimed to give small, locally owned businesses a platform within the mall. Recognizing that corporate chain stores dominated most malls, Jack carved out prime real estate in the Central Plaza for a rotating lineup of pop-up shops. These small businesses, ranging from artisanal bakers to independent bookstores, brought unique offerings and a sense of local pride to the mall. Shoppers responded enthusiastically, flocking to these pop-ups and spreading the word about the hidden gems they discovered. One such success story was a small family-owned coffee roastery that had struggled to gain traction in its standalone shop on the edge of town. Through Jack's program, the business was able to set up a booth in the mall, and within weeks, their sales skyrocketed. Encouraged by their newfound visibility, the family expanded their operations, eventually opening a permanent cafe within the mall. Stories like these became common, further cementing the mall's reputation as a community-driven space. Jack also spearheaded a partnership with local schools and artists to create an interactive art installation in the mall's East Wing. This installation featured sculptures, murals, and digital art displays, all created by students and local artists. The vibrant artwork turned the previously underutilized space into a destination in its own right, drawing visitors who wanted to admire the creativity of the community. The initiative didn't just beautify the mall, it gave aspiring artists a chance to showcase their talent, boosting their confidence and providing valuable exposure. As the community grew closer, the mall also became a hub for important causes. Jack's commitment to inclusivity extended to advocacy and education, and he worked tirelessly to ensure the mall hosted events that raised awareness about issues such as mental health, homelessness, and disability rights. One of the most moving events was a fundraiser for a local children's hospital, during which the mall raised thousands of dollars through charity auctions, bake sales, and even a 24-hour marathon gaming event organized by the arcade. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, What are your thoughts on the mall manager kicking out the disabled man? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.